Welcome back to the Hell Inspired podcast. Today we're here with Nyla Choates. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Definitely, I'm good. You already know how it is.
Good.
Definitely. So let's get into it. So when people hear about the Bay Area, they tend to think of cities like San Francisco and Oakland.
Mhm.
How would you describe growing up in South Bay?
Yeah, so for those who are not aware, I'm specifically from Milpitas, California, and it's basically like a very small city, like right on the outskirts of San Jose. And I mean, honestly, if you look into the city and go online, it actually says like one of the most diverse cities in the Bay. But it was very diverse in the sense of more so like the Asian population, which was very interesting to see growing up, especially being like, a little black girl, growing up, looking at people who just don't look like me at all. So it was definitely was a different experience, but I definitely immersed myself into it. I have so many, diverse friends from different backgrounds, have been able to learn from different, multicultural backgrounds, different foods, different, dialects. I actually speak Chinese fluently, which is amazing. So yeah, I feel like my parents instilled in me to like immerse myself into the culture because it's honestly like a different experience that not many people get to, you know, have. So it
De-
was different, but it was good.
Definitely. And what is usually the reaction when you tell people you speak Chinese fluently?
I mean, people are usually pretty taken back. They're like, "Wait, what?" And people were taken back. I mean, I remember too, like initially when I first walked into my Chinese classroom, like my schedule had to be like literally reviewed by the teacher about 5 times to confirm because like she refused to believe that I was supposed to be in that class. But like since that day, like that only determined me more to just excel and go above and beyond in that class to the point where literally the Chinese students were coming to me for to tutor them when we
Yeah.
had quizzes and
Right.
tests coming up. So I mean, honestly, just pushed me. And like I said, I've gotten like great reactions, never a bad one. When it came to just like other people, they're like, "Wow, like that's like out of the ordinary. That's really cool." So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
How would you say your family has impacted you? Like, do you come from a big family or are you only child?
Oh Lord, yeah, no, I have a lot of siblings. So I'm the youngest girl of 6 kids. It's definitely
Dang.
influenced the way that I am. I I loved having a big family. It was always a loud house.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, when you're not necessarily, when you're at school and you're surrounded by people who don't look like you, it's nice to go home and just be surrounded by like so many, like my older sisters who looked like me, my younger brother who looked like me. We're able to relate to each other and like our shared experiences, growing up in the Bay Area. So yeah, I have a big family that they definitely influenced the person that I am today. Especially when it comes to speaking up.
Yeah.
I was very shy as a kid, but having such a loud house, it almost forces you to like come out of your shell. And even if it's just like, no, I want the last bite of this pizza, I was able to really use my voice and get into it.
That's what's up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you talk about speaking up.
Mhm.
After the murder of George Floyd, the
Mhm.
world was on fire.
Yeah.
And when you were just 16, you led a Black Lives Matter rally in your hometown. What
Mhm.
made you want to step into that leadership role?
Honestly, what made me want to step into that leadership role was because I just didn't see the change happening. It was a huge thing because everyone was on their phones because COVID-19 was happening. You had nothing to do but to be on your phone. And I was looking for a protest to go to. I was just seeing these protests all over, these beautiful protests showing unity. Oftentimes the media wants to just show, like, oh, all these protests were violent. That is not true at all. So I was venturing out to San Francisco. I was venturing out to San Jose to go to these protests. And I like thought to myself, I was like, why do I have to travel 30 minutes, an hour to go to a protest for Black Lives Matter? And I was telling this to my mom, going back to like the influence question of like how they definitely have influenced me into the leader I've become. And I was like, Mom, like, when's the Black Lives Matter protest in Milpitas? And she was like, girl, If you want to see change, you have to be that change. And that really sparked something in me. Like she really planted that seed of like, wait, if no one's gonna do it, do it. And it started with a single social media post. Like all I did was post like, hey you guys, like I'm doing a Black Lives Matter protest in Milpitas, like let's meet up at the school and march to like City Hall. Next thing you know, that post blew up. I was reached out to by news outlets, by my entire school district. They said like, hey, we want to support in any way possible. I got a stage, I got pizzas, water. Just it was so beautiful to see this community just come together, for change. And once again, like I said, Milpitas, there's not a lot of us at all. And the fact that, people who are white, Indian, Filipino, Vietnamese, Chinese, Korean, I promise you, it was so beautiful to see. I mean, it brings me to tears, honestly, just to even think back on that event, because it was such a disheartening thing to see the wrongful death of George Floyd. I mean, that video,
It's crazy.
it's terrible. But to see how his death was able to bring so much unity, I just know that he's definitely smiling down on us, and I think we definitely made him proud.
Yeah, definitely. And how would you describe that day specifically? Because I know at 16, a lot of people are usually kind of more introverted and kind of more timid.
Yeah.
And I know you personally, and I know that's not you at all. So
Well,
how is that?
honestly, I would like to disagree. I'm actually a very timid person, but I use my timidness to my advantage. So
Okay.
I'm a huge listener. So once
Yeah.
again, when it came to going to these other protests, and though I was, silent, I was observing. I was seeing how people were, the different chants that they were saying, or the way that the police officers were reacting to certain things. So with my timidness, I'm able to like really gain a lot of knowledge, and I definitely use it as like one of my superpowers.
Okay.
And so like I said, when it came to the march, I knew that we're gonna need some louder people. And so my brother, who was home with us, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna need you on the megaphone doing these chants. And then I used other people who are like really great at coordinating. Hey, I'm gonna need you to help coordinate X, Y, and Z. So I'm really great at like delegating, but I'm definitely honestly a timid person. And I think that like once again, it's a superpower. People think that that's a bad thing. Like, no, you just have to use it the right way.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
And I heard you speak about how the misrepresentation of Black people in textbooks made you
Mhm.
frustrated.
Yeah.
So how did you turn that frustration and anger into My Roots Are Rich?
Oh Lord, that's a story to tell. So growing up, once again, Milpitas, it definitely like made me the person I am today. I'm very grateful and proud of where I came from. But there's a lot of um, disheartening things that I had to go through growing up there. So just to kind of backtrack, I remember vividly when I was in elementary school, I was like playing with like my best friend at the time. We were like playing in the dirt, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, like Nyla, like your skin looks just like dirt." And I was like, "Did my best friend just compare me and my skin to dirt?" And from that day forward, I actually went home, prayed to God to change my skin color to that pretty peach color like everyone else, which is like so sad, like looking back on it. But I mean, how can I blame myself? Like, because it's not just like, oh, my best friend's telling me this. Because when I opened the textbooks, it was also comparing people that looked like me to diseases, malnutrition, poverty. I remember once again when we got to in our history textbooks, when it came to finally like getting to learn about Africa, it was literally an image of a malnourished child, literally on the cover. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was so excited because we were learning about the Great Wall of China when it came to Asia. We are learning about all the architecture when it came to Europe. I was like, I can't wait to get to Africa. Finally got to it. And like I said, I was very disappointed.
Yeah.
And it really changed my outlook on myself and where I came from, to the point where
Yeah.
I wasn't even proud of it. I literally, once again, I was like, I wish I was from Europe. I wish I was from Asia. I wish I was from somewhere else, anywhere else but Africa, because we're obviously nothing. Like, once again, comparison to dirt. Um, And so I realized that there's definitely an issue when it came to our textbooks in the education system and
Mhm.
like who writes these stories.
Mm,
It's a big
mm,
issue. Um,
yeah,
the person behind the pen has the power. And if the person doesn't look like us, or if they're also rooted in systemic racism,
and they can.
they're not going to properly tell us that we are kings and queens, doctors, mathematicians, built the pyramids, the list goes on. But I didn't really gain that knowledge until, once again, shout out to my mama, until I told her how I was feeling in the school setting. I was like, Mom, I want to straighten my hair. I was like trying just to really change myself. And she's like, why are you, what's going on? And I told her, and she was like, Nyla, your roots are rich. And that stuck with me. And she
Mhm.
started teaching me on her own time with flashcards, and her own research that she did herself as an amazing Black mother. And she started making me memorize these like different inventors and
Mhm.
just Black history facts, even just like facts back about Africa, because our history starts way before slavery, which I wasn't taught in school either, which was like
Yeah.
just so amazing for me and definitely just changed my own outlook. But I would still go back to school on the weekdays, and unfortunately, I'm like still being taught, oh, the only rich people in Africa are Egyptians, and they're not technically Black, quote unquote, like by
Mhm.
my actual teacher. So I
Crazy.
started, using my voice and like raising my hand, actually like correcting the teachers.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a little bit about where that like passion for my roots are rich came from.
Yeah, and that's why when you talk about your mom and stuff, because I remember, like, I think once a week we would go to my aunt's house in Berkeley
Yeah.
to have these little family dinners.
Hmm.
And after dinner, Black people tend to talk for a long time and don't want to go
We do.
home.
We do.
So we would be there around like 2 to 3 in the morning every time we went over there, and they were just talking about different books, talking about different interviews and stuff.
Hmm.
And I was in middle school, so I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to hear this. I want to go home. Like, so I'm literally just sitting there every single weekend. But then I started to get interested, and then I start getting into the conversation, and then I'm teaching them stuff. And so that's definitely how I got involved in everything. And then just growing up in Oakland, sometimes I would see different Black Panthers, former Black Panthers walking around, like Erica Huggins. I would see her a lot
Okay.
walking around the lake and stuff. And that's just, yeah. So,
No, that's dope, because like I love that you were actually able to see these people, because like I
yeah,
said, that was like a totally like polar experience for me. Like I had to like research and like look these people
exactly.
up, see them on the internet. So I think that's
Yeah,
really cool to see like how close we were, but still how like much like
different.
different experiences that they were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, how did the idea of Marissa Rich evolve to what it is today?
Whew, yeah, it honestly has grown so much. And people ask me all the time, like, how did you get here? I'm like, I don't, I know, but at the same time, I give a lot of thanks and glory to God, because at the end of the day, He is who planted, the concept of my roots are rich in me. And, today I just was very, very blessed along my process. So I remember when I actually got accepted into Spelman College,
Okay.
I was like, okay, what do I want to do with my life? Like, what do I want to do? I went in as a political science major, and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to fight the systemic racism by like becoming a lawyer and like actually like changing the textbooks.
Yeah.
But then I like was looking on the track of like how long it takes to become a lawyer, and I was like, oh
Mm,
my God, like I want to fix this
yeah.
issue like
Now.
yesterday. And so I was like, okay, what can I do to like I said, rewrite the textbooks? Like that was my biggest passion. Cause I was just like, no kid is opening a book and seeing those images like I did, and actually like thinking that that's where they're from. I was like, this is such a big issue for me. And I was like, I just want to be able to reach as many kids as I can and let them know that their roots are rich. And then
Huh.
that's when it sparked for me. I was like, I can write my own book, and I can write it now. I don't have to wait X amount of years to go to law school and do all this like legislative work, which is still important, which is still possibly in the plans. We'll see what God has
Yeah.
in the plan for me.
Yeah.
But when it
Still
comes to,
young.
yeah. So when it came to, you know, writing the book, I just, like I said, let God lead me. And I was really intentional about the words that I used in it, the images I used in it, to like really create a powerful story. And like I said, even with my roots are rich, it's an affirmation in itself. You know, when a kid says that,
Mm-hmm.
my roots are rich, like,
Shut up.
it's pretty dope. And yeah, so it just took off from there. It took off. So I think within like 2 weeks of releasing my book, well, for one, when I first initially wrote my book, I was very, very blessed to get a lot of support from people with the Black Lives Matter movement, because it was what I think the previous summer. So I'd already gained a lot of traction. People were following me, like people were looking for me, trying to see like what my next move was. So when I did
Mm-hmm.
release the book, it was like very powerful. They're like, oh my gosh, like we love this. We were waiting for this. And then when I released, when it actually like came out, I was reached out to and was able to have our book release party at the Flintstone House, which is, you know, in the Bay Area, which is like huge because no one really gets to use that house.
Yeah.
So I was able to have that for my book release, which was amazing. So much community support, honestly. And then after releasing the book, I got reached out to really within like the first 6 months of having it by McDonald's. Yeah, like the fast food chain restaurant, which was
Yeah.
crazy. And, you
Mhm.
know, they wanted to help amplify my mission, amplify what I was doing with, you know, just empowering kids. But my biggest issue was like at the same time, like right when I released my book was when there was a lot of book bans happening, especially books that were unfortunately empowering kids. Like it doesn't make even any type of sense at all. Like why are you
Same.
banning books that are empowering Black voices and kids? But
Exactly.
so there was a lot of pushback on that. It actually had gotten banned in multiple places, but luckily there was a lot of support. It actually kind of worked out for my good, like I said, with McDonald's. And once I gained that partnership with them, it just blew up. Honestly, it took off. Was able to
Yeah.
get a lot of major retail stores like Barnes and Nobles and the Spelman College bookstore on national commercials and everything. And one of like the biggest things that like kind of sparked my idea for change was when I started going into the classrooms and like reading to the kids, and they
Mhm.
were literally saying to me like, oh my gosh, she looks like me, her hair is just like mine, I have a bonnet
Yeah.
just like hers, my roots are rich. And then the
Yeah.
boys would say, wait, can you make a boy version? And the
Mhm.
girls, wait, is that a doll? Can you make her into a doll? I'm like, wait, I'm like, wait, y'all want more than just this book? Y'all want to
Yeah.
see those positively represented as in the clothes that you wear too, and the toys that you play with. So all of a sudden, like I keep trying to say, is like it just was all divine timing within itself. I can't even say it was just me. It was my supporters. It was the kids that I was doing it for that were, you know, saying they want more. And I mean, who am I to not want to give that to them because they deserve it? Because I remember, once again, playing with my Barbie dolls with blonde hair, blue eyes, not looking like me at all, making me want to get contacts and straighten my hair because I was like, that's all that I saw. So the fact that these kids are saying, no, can you make it so that I can have these flowers in my hair, I can have my natural curls just like her, it's just so amazing. And Kevin Hart had actually received our book, and he sent
That's
me a
great.
personal video. Yeah, he had said, he
Yeah.
was like, hey, this book is dope as hell, but I want more. I want a doll. I want a book. I want a TV show. I think that
Yeah.
was my final confirmation. I was like, okay, let me get this ball rolling. And
Yeah.
we're here.
Right now. And it's crazy when you speak about the book bans
Mhm.
because this is why I really rock with Toni Morrison, because she would always say, like, me making Black people the main characters of my book doesn't minimize you as somebody else, as a
Thank
white person. It doesn't
you.
have anything to do with you, but that makes you insecure because you're not in the dominant role. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I really rock with her.
Yeah.
But as the brand of My Roots Are Rich grows, can
Mm-hmm.
you speak about the importance and the power of a strong brand instead of just having a book and just having a logo?
Yeah. So there's so much importance in having a strong brand because, you know, outside of having a beautiful story to tell, you have to have um, everything done right legally. You have to have trademarking. You have to have a team to really support that brand, and you really need to emphasize community as well. Like when it comes to like showing that, because there's so many brands in the world, honestly.
Exactly.
So you have to really like focus on like what makes you stand out. What is your why? And my
Mhm.
why, once again, is planting the seeds that grow forever. Like that's my why in life, honestly, is I want to plant seeds, and that just so happens to be right now for me through books, through literacy. So just having your own personal brand is very important to you guys. I'm telling you, you have
Mhm.
to be very intentional on how you carry yourself, the way that you carry yourself on social media. You never know who you are talking to. So, even if that just means, getting dressed appropriately every day, the way that you talk to even just a homeless person on the street, you don't know who that person actually is or who they know. So it's
Exactly.
definitely important to have your own personal brand. And then when it comes to branding your business, just always have as much as you can everything together legally, because when it comes to elevating your business, it's essential. Like it's essential.
Yeah.
And like I said, just definitely leverage on the community that you already have. I have like some day one supporters who were at the Black Lives Matter protest with me, who I'm always like, yes, these like this is my OG like family. That's what I call my supporters. Like we're all a part of like the family tree. So
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. And over the years, well, it hasn't. It's been yeah. Um, you spoke, and you've been in a lot of places. Culture Con, the BT Hip Hop Awards, Afrotech, and the list goes on. What would you say has been the most like surreal moment, like made you be like, okay, like is this real?
yeah. So it wasn't even like filming the commercials for me. It was when I actually like sat down and was watching, I believe it was the BET Awards, which
Yeah,
I had literally said with my best friend the previous year. I said, we're gonna be there next year. I
yeah.
want to be there. I want to be at the BET Awards next year.
Hmm.
Next thing you know, it's the following year. I'm watching on TV after I just filmed for like 30 hours this commercial.
Man,
Literally, yeah.
I
For a
understand
30-second
behind the
commercial,
scenes.
it's
Yeah,
about 30 hours, literally.
yeah.
Uh, it's a lot. But I saw myself, my commercial talking about me and my book and my passion on national TV. When I saw that, like it was the most shocking moment. You can actually see it on my Instagram when I first like initially saw it. And I'm just like, like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. And it just also like just shows like I don't believe in manifestation exactly, but the power of just like speaking things into existence.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. Like it is so powerful. And the crazy thing too is also like when I initially had gone to Spelman, I was walking at Clark Atlanta University's campus, which is like, if you don't know the AC, it's like literally right next door. So I was walking over there, and the president of the school of Clark Atlanta University stopped me and said, "Hey, can I take a picture with you?" This is before I like did anything, and I was
Hmm.
like, "Okay, like why?" And he was like, "You're gonna be on TV one day." Didn't even
Mm.
know my name. Didn't even ask me my name. And I
Yeah.
was like, "Wait, what? Like this is like crazy." Had no idea what this man was talking about. I was just like, okay, like this is kind of odd. But I think
Hmm.
back to that day all the time,
Yeah.
all the time, because I really did get on TV, and
Yeah.
not just once, but like 3 national commercials at that played all year long. So
Yeah.
just like really just sitting in the moment. Yeah, it's insane. But I would definitely say the seeing myself on TV was the biggest like
Yeah.
aha moment. Like wow,
It's like, wow, it's crazy.
wow,
Yeah.
this
In
is
30 hours, that's a lot of filming. Yeah. And I know it's a lot of big cameras, a lot of lights, a lot of people.
teleprompter. That's
Yeah.
hard. You gotta
Yeah.
just read and speak at the same time. Yeah,
Yeah.
the makeup touch ups. But I mean,
Yeah.
I like it. I'll do it again.
Definitely. And when we talk about you coming from Milpitas, how has the sisterhood at Spelman changed you, basically?
Oh my gosh, being at Spelman was like the biggest culture shock ever.
Yeah.
Because once again, I grew up being the only versus going to a school where I am among all of me, literally,
Yeah.
just like just a bunch of beautiful, amazing, excellent, excelling Black women. And
Exactly.
it was just such a surreal experience for me. I remember vividly my first, I believe it was my English class of my freshman year. And I got a syllabus. And on the syllabus, she had these like, it was like basically these um, like graphics of these 3 Black girls on the top of the syllabus.
Yeah.
And I promise, I stared at that for about 10 minutes, just in shock. Never in my life had I received a syllabus with just 3 Black girls just posing. I was just
Yeah.
like, wait, I'm in school right now? That's like, what is this? Like, this
Mhm.
is, I felt just like at home. I felt like it was like a us situation, even including my teacher. Like we were all, and then that's when she started talking, and she was like, "Yeah, we're gonna be reading about Toni Morrison and books about us and things about our experiences." I was like, "Wait, I'm in a classroom where we can say our experiences, where we
Yeah.
can say, oh yeah, we as Black women go through this, and we can relate about this." Never in my life had I experienced that. So like that was the biggest and best culture shock like ever.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful. I mean, Spelman has been such a blessing to my life. It's been amazing.
Yeah. Definitely. How tough has it been being a full-time student and building a business at the same time?
Ooh, Jesus, 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 Jesus. It's been hard to be
Hmm.
completely transparent. Um, at times, you know, I was putting my full focus just into my business, and you know, my schooling was definitely reaping the repercussions of that. You know, I was
Hmm.
in like such a high of just like, oh my god, all these cameras, all these like opportunities, all these pitch competitions, and then I'm like, oh shoot, I'm a student too at the same time. So like, oh my goodness, you know, I have all this schoolwork to do, a lot of catch up to do.
Yeah.
But honestly, just speaking up to my teachers helped so much.
Yeah.
Um, it helped so much. Luckily, a lot of them were super understanding when I told them the circumstances of like, hey, you know, I'm a student entrepreneur. Here's some of the things I've been doing. I was like showing them the commercials and stuff. And like, you know, I just got off finished doing 30 hours of taping. And so after like explaining to them, you know, I did get a lot of leeway, which was amazing. And I'm very grateful to Spelman and just all of my professors who were able to like really pour into me that way. But going more into it, you know, I kept trying to find balance.
Yeah.
And I think what I realize now is like balance is not a real thing. It's not a real thing because you can't necessarily do 2 things at the same time. It's just like honestly impossible. I mean, and
Yeah.
if you do it, you're never gonna put 100% into both things.
Yeah.
So
Integration.
like I was like in class doing like a business presentation while the teacher's talking. So I'm not really understanding what the teacher's telling me, and I'm doing
Yeah.
my business presentation. So I realized what's really been able to help me, which honestly I just kind of caught on recently, is to just when I'm at school, I'm in school. I'm not working on business. I'm fully 100% balanced in school. Now, when
Hmm.
I'm home, when I'm at the office, I'm at the office. I'm fully putting my business 100%. I'm responding to business emails, manufacturers, just posting on social media, working on new social media posts. All that is being done. And so I just would recommend anyone who's listening right now who's trying to like, oh my God, how do I manage this all at the same time? Don't like literally work on like time management. That's really the biggest thing, time management, and like I said, blocking out specific times to do certain things, because there's no way that you can do both at the same time. Like think of a what's it called, a balance beam. What's those things called? Seesaw.
Yeah. Seesaw.
Like
Seesaw. Yeah.
seesaw, for example, like you literally cannot sit on both ends to make it
Both
balance,
sides.
right? That's
Exactly.
not possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're just one person, so just divvy up your time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who in Black culture inspires you the most, past or present?
That's a great question. I love me some Angela Davis. She's
That's,
amazing. I was actually able to meet her. She's just dope.
yeah.
She's just a dope person.
Yeah.
Just very inspiring, like a living legend completely, very authentically herself.
Mhm.
She really helped me because I honestly, so believe it or not, she was actually pretty timid too. So I think she almost like helped me
For real?
realize, yeah, like you can use your timidness to an advantage. That doesn't mean that we can't use our voices, but
Yeah.
we're listeners. And then
Exactly.
once you listen,
Yeah.
you can truly use your voice for change, because it's you can't use your voice for change when you're just speaking all the time and not listening to other people. So then,
Exactly.
like, if you ever listen to some of Angela Davis's at her interviews, she is so knowledgeable and can
Mhm.
respond to some of the most ignorant questions and things to her because she's listened. She listens even to the ignorance so that you can
Ex-
respond in a better way versus just
Yeah.
being da 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 da, da just talking. So I'm
Yeah.
very inspired by her in that way, and I try to kind of go about myself in that way as well and just be very knowledgeable. So like I said, I can back up what I have to say with actual facts. Not just, oh, I don't like what you're saying. No, this is
Yeah.
wrong because of X, Y, and Z, and I have the data to back it up to fact check me.
Exactly. Most definitely. What would you say inspires you the most?
What inspires me the most is knowing that I can leave a legacy and inspire others. Knowing that, like I keep saying, that I can plant the seeds that truly grow forever. When I am long and gone, kids can still, not even kids, grandparents, parents, people of any race can say, wait, Nyla Choates told me that I'm beautiful, that where I'm from is this, that I can
Mhm.
also write a book, that I can also use my voice for change, that my timidness is not a bad thing. I think just like knowing I could spark, the next generation of like entrepreneurs, it means everything. And that's what inspires me to continue to go on. And
Exactly.
yeah.
Most definitely. And you already made such a huge impact on the youth and everybody around you. So, what would you say is one long term goal you have for my research?
Yeah, so one long-term goal that I have for my Roots Are Rich is honestly just to continue to become a household name. I'm right now working on getting my children's brand into some major retail stores. So kids are once again able to walk into stores and physically not just see a bunch of Barbie dolls and Marvel characters that don't look like them. They're able to look on these shelves and say, "Oh, my Roots Are Rich," right here next to them, and I can choose me, because
Yeah,
oftentimes we don't get the options to even choose ourselves, let alone
exactly.
love ourselves.
Yeah,
So to be able to sit on shelves with some of those household names, have a television show where kids are also able to watch themselves being positively um, shown to them. And I do also want to clarify. So I do know that there are more emerging brands that are giving like representation to kids, which is so amazing, very inspiring. But I think a huge differentiator when it comes to My Roots Are Rich is that we pride ourselves on historical education. We pride ourselves on really talking about our roots and where we're from, because that is just something that really stuck with me. Like I said, when I was like, dang, like, okay, yeah, no one looks like me, but also where I come from is not rich, which is just so untrue. It's so, so, so untrue. And even when it comes to like our everyday media, where they choose to show Black people in this like dim light as like drug dealers and thugs, like it's so like false and wrong. So just
yeah,
with my Roots Rich, just being able once again to shed light on these amazing Black excellences that are just too often not being shown.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Thank you, Nyla, for your time.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. And everybody, make sure you go follow Myros Are Rich. Go to
Mhm.
myrosaRich.com and order your niece, nephew, cousin, brother, sister,
Mhm.
daughter
Yup.
a copy of that Myros Are Rich, and stay tuned for what she has coming soon.
Yeah, we have some great things. Stay tuned.
Definitely. See y'all soon.